All right, guys. I've done this video once. I uploaded it. My dad called me. He said, "Hey, I got halfway through your video. It was fine, but the audio sucked halfway through. I had no idea what you were saying. If you weren't my son, I'd be mad." So I ran inside and said, "Oh, I better try it again." So this time we're doing it from the iPad. I think I can make it work. This is my first time doing it, but Apple products seem to work. So let's hope that's the case. So what are we going to do? We're going to go over the Honda Pioneer 700-4 models, trim levels, I guess you want to say, for both 2023 and 2024. I'm going to touch on the 2022s and tell you why you probably want to go 23 or 24. There's very, very few differences between the 23 and 24, but we're going to go over the three trim levels. So you have your base, your deluxe, and your forest edition. We'll go over the pricing, and I'll tell you why the deluxe is probably the best version. All right, so let's jump into it. Um, the changes for 2024, here they are. You ready? Every model cost $100 more than a 2023, and they gave you some new colors. That's it. Those are the only changes. So your base model in 2023 came in black or like a forest green. Now for a 2024, you can get this sandstone, which is kind of a play on the Toyota Tacoma. They kind of pioneered that flat desert earth and then the cement color. So I think it looks pretty sharp. On the base model, you get the sandstone, black. See if it'll switch it here. Black forest green. It's not going to show. We'll get into all the tabs, so don't worry about that. And then you can also get red in the base model. In 2023, you could only get black and like a forest green. You go to the deluxe, you're going to get either this Krypton green, which we'll get into in a second, or Honda red. Last year, you could get Honda red or blue. I think it was called Reactor Blue, which is what I have. I would have rather had the Honda red because Honda's slogan forever has been Ride Red, so that would have been cool. But Reactor Blue is the first one that came available. Um, your 2024 Forest Edition, same exact camo pattern. It's Honda. I think it's Honda Shadow camo is the registered trademark. But all you're doing is paying $100 more and getting different color options. That's why it's not worth it. If you can find a leftover 2023, you're not missing out on anything. Okay? So let's go into the 20. This is mine right here. That's exactly what I have, the Reactor Blue. So what do you get with the different trim models? Great question. Um, on the base model, what you don't get, let's start there. You have different wheels. So let me show you the base model wheels. They're kind of just steelies. Not real attractive. There we go. You can see those there. They look like steelies on a Honda Civic from 1990. So that's not real great. Versus the Deluxe and the Forest have the same wheels. So that's what you're getting on the Deluxe and Forest. They're aluminum wheels. They're the same size, so your tire size isn't going to change. They just look a little sharper. And there's my machine right there. Forest, same wheels. So your base model, you get steel wheels. They add a tiny bit of weight, but that's made up for in the accessories you're adding on the Deluxe and the Forest. So don't worry about the weight, just worry about the appearance. What other differences? So on your base model, you do not have electronic power steering. That is the primary reason you want to go Deluxe. Now, you might be a big tough guy. You might say, "Oh, I don't need power steering." You might not. If your wife's driving it, if your kids are driving it, if you're going to take it on longer rides. Now, granted, this isn't a trail beast. It's sort of a utility machine. But if you're going to be in it for a long time, that power steering is going to make the ride so much more comfortable. So base model, no power steering, goofier wheels. I don't think you get the 12-volt bed lights, which give or take, who cares? I think they look kind of cool, but that's not a make or break for me. There's one more thing. Oh, you don't get your manual and automatic transmission modes with the paddle shifters. I haven't really used those too much. I've used them off and on for fun, but I don't think that should be a deciding factor. Really, you're paying for the power steering. Now, the price differences, I think you get the value. If you go to your trims, right? So all those changes I just told you, let's go to the trims tab and we'll get into pricing. You're looking at what? A 14,899 versus 13,299. By the time you go and buy an aftermarket power steering kit, um, have that installed, and you can't really add paddle shifters to a transmission reasonably. I think you're making up your value right there between the 14,899 and the 13,299 MSRP. So I think that's reasonable. Okay. Now let's get into why you don't want to pay for the Forest. What do you get in the Forest that you do not get in the Deluxe? It's very, very simple. First of all, you get the Phantom Camo. Who cares? You might say, well, I need camo. I go hunting a lot. Okay, well, I'm not driving this thing right up next to the goose blind. I'm not driving it to the deer stand. I'm driving it in the general area that I'm going to walk. And really, you're only looking at the hood. That's your main difference, okay? I'm going to get into why that you shouldn't care about that at all in a second, as far as the colors go. Would I rather have that new Krypton green than my reactor blue? Yeah, I would. It looks cooler, but it's not that big of a deal. So you get a different color scheme. That's not worth anything to me. You get a bigger bumper. So look right here. And we can get into better pictures, but you have a more aggressive bumper versus your Deluxe and your base. It looks cooler. I'll give you that. That's fine. Am I going to be running this thing so hard that I'm bashing into stuff and I need essentially a ranch hand bumper on it? I'm not. Would I take it if they gave it to me for free? Yeah, I guess so. But it's not a make or break for me. So you get a different paint scheme, different front bumper. You get this worn winch from the factory installed. Great. I'm going to tell you why that doesn't matter in a second. You also, which bothers me, get additional in-cab storage. Okay? Under the dash, they have different storage panels. There's no shots of it, and I haven't been in one of the Forests, but there's more in-cab storage, and allegedly there's larger cup holders. That's annoying. That probably costs Honda $20 to $50 in plastic molding per unit, if that. What are you paying? You're paying $2,000 more for the notable differences, which are paint scheme, bumper, and winch. Okay, but Kyle, I need that. No, you don't. Let me show you why you don't. The exact worn winch that they're offering you is on Amazon with a steel cable and the switch that comes with it. Look right here. There's your switch. This is the exact model that they're installing, the VRX45, a 4.5 ton winch. 377. Yesterday when I did the first video, it was 350. You got a synthetic rope, which Honda's not giving you, goes up to $400. I think you can install that yourself. They have the switch knockouts in the Honda Pioneers to make it a pretty clean install, and it's going to be right under your fuse box. So no issues. $400 value. If you want the upgraded bumper, I don't know where you can buy that separate, but again, is that worth the price differential, $1,500? I don't think so. And what else? You're saying, but Kyle, I want the paint. Guys, the only thing actually painted or body match color on these UTVs is this hood. It's your bonnet, okay? This blue right here. That's it. These are stickers that are on the flat pieces. So what do? You go to Amazon, you get any colorway you want. You can get a full UTV kit, and this is one of the most expensive ways to do it. You could get this sweet orange. You could get any camo pattern you want for, okay, that one's $148. 263 seems to be going price. You want to make it pink? Go for it. What I think I might do eventually when I get bored with the blue is go like a shadow camo. So shadow camo camp. No, camo, buddy. Vinyl. I spelled it wrong, right? But it'll still work. So something like that, I think you can get 3M shadow camo vinyl in decent sized rolls. Let's put in 3M and let's spell vinyl right. 3M vinyl. Okay, it's all vivid, but okay, 3M shadow black, 5x1. That's not going to fit, but for couple $100, you can get whatever color you want. All you have to do is basically heat shrink it to the hood, and then cut these stickers the right size. You can have any color you want. The color should not be a deciding factor. So between $16,899 and $14,899, $2,000, you're getting a $400 winch with installation. Okay, 4 bolts and some wiring. You're getting a bigger bumper, which you may or may not need. That's it. Is that worth it? Is that worth 2 grand? I'd say no. So let's say if we can compare these, and I'll show you all the specs are the same. you're going to gain or lose a few pounds with accessories. Okay, so we'll do the base to the deluxe. And again, I'm doing the 2023 because that's what I'm familiar with. That's my machine. All you're doing is paying $100 more for model year 2024 and getting different colors. So in addition to the standard features, that's what you want to look like. This is what I told you. You get electronic power steering, super important. Automatic and manual transmission mode with paddle shifters, that's essentially one thing. If you want that, you're not going to be able to get that aftermarket. Aluminum wheels, yeah, they look cooler. Bed lights, they're cool. And you get a second 12-volt outlet in the rear. All the models have a 12-volt outlet under the dash. This puts one in the rear too. I think the price differential there is well worth it for the power steering alone installed. So let's change this to the Deluxe. I'm sorry, to the Forest. Come on. Man, zoom out. Okay. What do you get in addition? Now, the Forest lists everything you get, including the stuff that you get in the Deluxe anyway. So what are your differences? First, that Warn VRX 4.5 winch, $400. Bed lights are already on the Deluxe. The second 12 volts on the Deluxe. The larger front bumper, whatever. Increased under dash storage. Again, I don't think it's worth it. But here's, if you're like, well, I really need that, and you complained about it in your other video, so I want it. I get that. What else could you do for that differential of money? You could go buy a bunch of Pelican cases and put them behind the rear seat. You could go buy a diamond plate aluminum weather guard toolbox, a super skinny one, mount it in there somewhere. You could attach a bunch of pouches from VanQuest or SOE Tactical on the roll cages themselves and switch those out. Again, you're talking $2,000. What could you do for $2,000 to fix the problem? Honda Phantom Camo, who cares? Put vinyl in it. Electronic power steering, you already have in the Deluxe. Automatic transmission, manual transmission mode, already have in the Deluxe. Paddle shifters, aluminum wheels, already have in the Deluxe. It's not worth it, guys. Don't spend the extra $2,000 unless you have money to burn and you're looking at resale. I'm planning on keeping my side-by-side for a long time, over a decade. That's the original plan, okay? So I'm not too worried about resale. I plan on running this thing to the ground. So let's get into pricing because that's the same concept. When I say running it to the ground, I did not buy the extended warranty. I bought Honda because Honda makes a reliable machine. They always have. That's what they're known for. I am not going to pay a dealer additional money to do extra maintenance in the case that in case this thing falls to pieces. If it's going to fall to pieces, it's going to do it under the original manufacturer warranty. The dealer I purchased from was over 2 hours away. I'm not taking it there for scheduled maintenance. That's where the dealer's going to make their money. That's where they make their markup. So what do you actually pay for these things? I had a comment that kind of made me say, hey, maybe I should do that video. What are you paying? So there's your MSRPs. This is where the dealer makes most of their profit. I don't know what they're paying for the units, but it's going to be very hard to find one of these units under MSRP. Power sports have always been that way to a certain extent. It's a lot harder to work a deal off MSRP on a power sport than it is a car. At least a couple years ago, on a car, MSRP was your starting point. You work down. On most power sports, MSRP is your base plus the added fees. Then you work up. So, in addition to your base MSRP, which is listed here, you are going to have to pay a destination fee and a freight fee. Those are non-negotiables that Honda charges the dealer to take delivery of the machine. So your destination fee is $785. Your freight fee is $400. That adds $1,185 to these price tags you're seeing. Okay, the $13,299, the $14,899, the $16,899. You go into 2024, everything goes up by $100. $13,399, $14,999, $16,999. But man, that Krypton green looks sweet. Anyway, get back to it. Let's go to the 2023s because those are still what are hitting dealers right now. You're not going to see those 2024s probably until the middle of next year. So what are we looking at? A base model. Your starting price at a dealer on a base model is going to be $14,484. A Deluxe is going to be $16,084. Forest is going to be $18,084. So you're also going to have a dealer prep charge. Why? These things come crated. The wheels have to be bolted on. The bumpers have to be bolted on. I think the roll cages have to be bolted on. All those goodies. So they're not getting a complete unit when it ships. They have to put it together. They have to pay a mechanic to do that. You can't reasonably expect them to do it for free, but this is where you have negotiation power. You go to a high volume dealer, they are going to be able to cut their dealer prep fee to be competitive. I'm sure they have a margin built in there. You know, if they're, let's say it takes the average mechanic 5 hours to put it together, and they're going to charge you $500 prep fee. That's on the low end, by the way. So they might pay the mechanic $50 an hour. They're going to pocket the difference to make a dealer profit. They have to make a profit. I get that, but my goal is to make their profit as slim as possible. So, what's an average prep fee going to run you? Somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 to $1,000. All right. So I can dance and skirt around the issue. I'm going to be upfront with you guys. My 2023 Honda Pioneer 700-4 Deluxe in Reactor Blue was $16,800 out the door without tax. I'm not going to get into tax today. It's going to vary by states. 16,800. That means my dealer prep fee was probably, I mean, mathematically, it was $716. Okay. That's what it worked out to. They cut that to be competitive. I want to say they cut it by maybe around $200, meaning their dealer prep fee would have been 900, 950, somewhere in there. They cut it because I had a price on another unit. But expect to pay 500 to $1,000. There's your math. Take the MSRP listed, 1,185 in fees that they can't really get around, then their dealer prep fee. That's where you should be. And I think it's very important to be transparent. I paid what I paid. It is what it is. There's no point in being coy and dancing around the subject. Those are your prices for a 2024 at $100. That's basically it, guys. We'll go through the rest of these tabs. They have a cute little brochure we'll run through. All this is just bragging. All the specs are the same. I think when you go to from the base model to the, actually, I can probably just tell you instead of guessing. We'll compare this one and we'll go back. You're going to go up like 50 pounds per model, somewhere in that neighborhood. Let's go into, like, all these specs are the same. The only, I like to consider myself a kind of, I nerd out on this stuff to a certain extent. And even I don't care about half this stuff. The 7.9-inch travel and suspension, okay, that's great. The millimeters and hydraulic discs, I don't really care. Let's look for differences, key differences here. Same length. This is what you should care about. Your length and width. Is it going to fit on your trailer? Length, width, and height. Is it going to fit on your trailer? So that's important. Same capacity, same bed capacity, towing capacity, ground clearance. I think your Forest is actually a tiny bit shorter ground clearance wise. Here's your difference. 1,433 pound curb weight versus 1,442. The main difference there is your power steering unit and the differential between steel and aluminum wheels. So I mean that's your hugest difference between the base and the Deluxe. So let's sub in your Forest. Again, the engines are identical, the transmissions are identical. We'll see a little bit of difference. I want to say in ground clearance you see a difference. Oh, in length. Your Forest, because of that goofy, impressive, look, I'm jealous of it. You're going to gain an extra half an inch in length because of the bumper. Ground clearance. See, your Forest is actually 0.3 inches lower. My guess is the additional weight is making up the ground clearance difference. I don't know. Curb weight, 1,499 versus 1,442. A majority of that weight's going to be in the winch and the bumper. I mean, that's probably all of it. But those are the only differences, guys. If you want my opinion, go Deluxe. You need the power steering. Might say you don't. Might be a manly burly man. You need it. You want it. Get the power steering. Do not pay for the Forest. You'll be happy. It's an awesome machine. Save the $2,000. Go to the accessories tab. Get a roof. I'll go over my Honda roof in a second. In another video, not in a second. But there's a couple cool accessories you could add. But that's a story, guys. If you can find a leftover 2023, go ahead and snatch it, because there's no point in paying $100 more for something that a sticker from Amazon can fix. The other big difference, if you find a leftover 2022, what are you giving up? You do not have a tilt wheel. The 2022s did not come with a tilt wheel. They also came with a smaller, more outdated looking gauge cluster. The gauge clusters on those 2022s is super tiny. I wanted a 23 for mainly the tilt wheel and the gauge cluster. All right. Hopefully this video doesn't get screwed up like the last one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a subscribe. Share it. That actually matters for small channels. You know, the guys with a million subscribers, they tell you to give them a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. I'm trying to grow this channel. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you guys watching. Shoot me a comment if you have any questions. I try to respond to everything to help you find your next side by side.